let's dive right into this explainer, breaking down what was an absolute masterclass of a football match. We're talking about the 2026 World Cup, round of 32, France squaring off against Sweden. The stakes literally couldn't have been higher, but what we actually saw unfold on the pitch? Well, it was a pure tactical and physical clinic put on by the French squad.
I mean, just listen to this. This football is from the heavens. That is an actual direct quote from the commentators who were left pretty much entirely speechless by the sheer quality of play. We aren't just talking about a team managing to win a match here. We are talking about a squad putting on a show that completely and utterly overwhelmed their opponents. So, to truly appreciate this performance, we need to quickly set the scene for this July 4th showdown in Philadelphia and really grasp the immense pressure both of these teams were under.
Coming into this clash, the dynamic was super fascinating. On one side, you've got France stepping onto the pitch with this heavy, uncompromised pedigree from their group stage run, and standing right in their way is Sweden, the 1954 finalists coming hot off a highly robust and super physical display against Japan just a few days prior. You've got two massive European powerhouses colliding head-on.
Because look, the reality of the round of 32 is a brutal, stark choice. You either advance to the last 16, or you are packing your bags for home tonight. There's no tomorrow in knockout football, right? And that juicy, high-stakes incentive created this incredibly tense, do-or-die atmosphere the very second they walked out onto that Philadelphia grass.
Okay, let's actually get out on the pitch and look at how this first-half French assault unfolded and how they eventually broke the Swedish resistance.
The action really built up in these distinct phases. Initially, Sweden actually showed some real life, with Alexander Isak taking an early snapshot. Just a quick glimpse of their willingness to work the channels and test the waters. But then the French pressure just completely escalated. Adrien Rabiot unleashed this fierce rising strike that smashed directly into the post. And finally, the dam completely broke in Phase 3 when Kylian Mbappe pounced to poke home a fabulous opening goal.
Honestly, the 1-0 scoreline hardly even reflected the dominance. As one commentator perfectly put it, Sweden riding the luck here, they'll be glad to hear the halftime whistle. France had actually hit the post twice in that first half. Sweden was barely clinging on, riding some incredible luck just to survive those first 45 minutes without totally collapsing.
And you know, a massive reason for that French dominance? Michael Olise. His performance was quite literally described on the broadcast as liquid gold. He was just wonderfully smooth, an absolute joy to watch. He controlled the tempo and the flow of the match with this elegance that pretty much left the Swedish midfielders out there chasing shadows all afternoon.
But Olise definitely wasn't doing this all on his own. Let's pause for a second and examine the truly terrifying partnerships that orchestrated this win.
Just look at this attacking lineup France brought to the pitch. Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise, Bradley Barcola, and Ousmane Dembele. It is just star after French star twinkling out there. It's an absolute nightmare for any defensive line in the world, because if you somehow manage to shut down one of them, you've got three more running right down your throat.
When you break it down further, the synergy between these guys is just ridiculous. You have Kylian Mbappe, who is an irrepressible football phenomenon, literally matching Messi goal for goal at this tournament. And then paired right with him is Olise, the chief architect who looked like he had the ball on a string. It's lethal finishing meeting masterful playmaking. Even the commentators couldn't help but marvel at it, noting, once again, it's the deadly duo. I like Batman and Robin. Those two you cannot hold down. And that dynamic proved completely and totally unstoppable. They were constantly finding each other, pulling the entire Swedish defense out of position, and creating these massive pockets of space out of thin air.
So moving into the second half, France took all of that tactical dominance and turned it into an outright rout. The build-up to their second goal was just a tactical masterstroke. Step 1, Olise operates brilliantly right in between the lines, drawing the defense completely toward him. Step 2, he threads it to substitute Bradley Barcola, who takes a spectacular first touch. And Step 3, Barcola crashes the net to score. It was orchestrated with absolutely devastating precision.
The broadcast perfectly captured the vibe of watching this unfold, saying they are smoothness itself, like running water. Once they're on their way, you just can't stop them. Because this French attack wasn't just about raw speed or power, it was this relentless force of nature flowing right through the Swedish defense with absolute ease.
By the time the final few minutes rolled around, the tension was completely gone. The French squad resorted to these sweet little exchanges and, honestly, a bit of showboating. They were playing with this undiluted joy that absolutely thrilled the fans in Philadelphia. They treated the crowd to a masterly display of, well, football from the heavens.
So, the final whistle blows, and what are we left with? What's the aftermath of this incredible performance?
Three goals. That final scoreline perfectly represents the relentless, incredibly efficient attacking output from the French side today. They created high-quality chances, and they finished them with total authority.
And a big, fat 0 allowed. This is crucial because it highlights the total shutdown of a Swedish team that was ultimately outmatched in every single department. Keeping them entirely off the score sheet really proved that France's dominance was just as structural and defensive as it was offensive.
It lays out the harsh reality of knockout football pretty clearly right here. France marches on, advancing to the last 16 where they'll face Paraguay. But for Sweden, the journey ends right here in Philadelphia. They are knocked out and packing for home. It's that brutal transition from the hope of the group stage to the sheer finality of the knockout rounds.
Obviously, there's still an awful lot of football left to be played in this tournament, but after witnessing such an undisputed masterclass today, a display of liquid gold, Batman and Robin dynamics, and football from the heavens, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. Are we looking at the future world champions? Keep that question in the back of your mind as the rest of the tournament unfolds.